Bob Denver loved to make people laugh, which is probably why after Gilligan's Island, he refused to let anyone in on his heartbreaking secret. For a man who built his legacy on joy and goofiness, keeping that part of his life hidden wasn't just a choice, it was a survival instinct. He spent decades protecting that secret while the world knew him only as the lovable castaway in the bucket hat. Bob Denver was a shy kid with stage fright and a dream. From his beatnik start as Maynard G Krebs to his iconic turn as bumbling Gilligan, Denver carved a spot in pop culture history. Bob Denver didn't start off chasing fame. Born Robert Osborne Denver on January 9, 1935, he spent his early years as a quiet, bookish kid who preferred hobbies over the spotlight. Yet, fate would soon steer him from obscurity to unforgettable stardom. Long before the bright lights of Hollywood called his name, Bob Denver was just a kid from New York. Growing up in a tight-knit, modest family, he found his first stage under the humble spotlights of school plays and community theater. Little did he know that those early performances were just the first steps towards a wild ride that would make him a household name. In his teens, Denver's family packed up and headed for Brownwood, Texas. Trading suburban life for southern skies wasn't easy, but it taught Denver resilience. Far from the glamour of TV, those early roots gave Denver the grounded, everyman appeal that would later make him a star. His small beginnings couldn't hide the giant career ahead. Before Hollywood came calling, Bob Denver had other plans. He majored in political science, took education classes, taught school, and worked as a mail carrier to make ends meet. But wanderlust won out, and soon Denver packed his bags for California, where fame was waiting to rewrite his story. After making the leap to California, Denver landed at Loyola Marymount University, and everything changed. He enrolled in a degree program but found his true calling on stage. A few campus plays sparked a passion he couldn't ignore. Acting seemed like a long shot, and Denver had to decide if he was all in now. Despite his laid-back image, Bob Denver struggled with severe stage fright. At Loyola, he braved college plays and met fellow student Dwayne Hickman, his future co-star. Early performances shook his nerves, but each flop built resilience. Slowly, Denver turned fear into fuel for fame. One unexpected turn would soon hurtle Denver toward pop culture history. After graduation, Denver taught math, history, and physical education at Corpus Christi School in Pacific Palisades. He only got an audition for The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis as a favor to his sister, a secretary on the lot. Denver wasn't the frontrunner, but his offbeat, bumbling charm won the producers over. His life was about to collide with big-time fame in a way that no one could have predicted. Bob Denver got his big break when he scored the role of Maynard G Krebs, the lovably clueless beatnik on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. With wild hair and goofball charm, Denver stole every scene.
Honest and decent and loyal and true blue and kind and a real human being.
Thank you, Maynard.
But on the other hand, you're also sneaky, mean and rotten and kind of a skunk.
And unknowingly launched himself towards even bigger adventures. Fame wasn't his plan, but it found him fast. Almost overnight, Denver became a fan favorite. Kids wanted to dress like Maynard, and teens quoted his catchphrases. But behind the scenes, Denver stayed humble, balancing newfound fame with his natural shyness. Still, Hollywood was already taking notice, but so was the United States government. Before Bob Denver was a TV icon, he married Maggie Ryan in 1960. Their love didn't last long. By 1966, they called it quits. But Maggie was there through Denver's early rise, cheering him on as he transformed from a struggling actor into America's favorite bumbling sidekick. But just as Denver's star was rising, an unexpected letter threatened to pull him off course. Bob loved the creative freedom that came with the role, and even spent time hanging out in coffee shops and attending poetry readings to nail the character. But just 3 episodes in, real life stepped in. The Army drafted Denver. The show quickly wrote him out and brought in a replacement, unsure if their quirky breakout star would ever return. The military declared Denver 4F due to a neck injury, so he returned to Dobie Gillis after missing just 1 episode. He racked up guest spots on hits like Dr. Kildare and The Andy Griffith Show.
Yonder stands my own true love, reckon how I know. Both her eyes do shine for me, clear as morning glow.
But when Dobie Gillis ended in 1963, acting seemed uncertain, though Denver's ultimate role was right around the corner. Auditioning for Gilligan was a gamble, and Bob Denver knew it. His last show had wrapped, and his acting future felt shaky. Big names like Jerry Van Dyke were the studio's top picks, leaving Denver as the underdog. But when it came to pure, bumbling charm, no one nailed it like Bob Denver. Luckily for him, Van Dyke made a shocking decision that would rewrite television history. Van Dyke turned down the role of Gilligan because he thought it was the worst thing he'd ever read. Denver, on the other hand, felt a connection to the character. Denver's goofy, lovable energy was undeniably Gilligan's. One audition later, the network knew they'd found their Gilligan. Van Dyke's decision allowed Denver to pull off something no one expected. For the few who don't know the show's plot, a storm leaves unlucky tourist boat passengers shipwrecked on a remote island, forcing them to band together to survive. The show keeps things light, never dark or gritty, as Bob Denver's Willie Gilligan character hilariously sabotages every clever escape plan the passengers cook up.
And we're gonna stay in here together until one of us has had it.
He threw the key away.
But while he was happy to have secured the role, Denver was hardly content. Denver wasn't happy with a significant aspect of the first season. The show's theme song originally introduced the castaways with "the movie star" and then casually tossed in "and the rest." Bob Denver wasn't having it. He pushed for fair credit. And starting in season 2, Russell Johnson and Don Wells finally got their due as the Professor and Mary Ann. On screen, Gilligan and the skipper, aka Captain Jonas Grumby, were an unstoppable duo. But Bob Denver and Alan Hale Jr. were even tighter off screen. Their real-life friendship made the magic happen. That bond didn't just power their scenes, it helped shape the entire vibe of Gilligan's Island.
Little buddy, I want to compliment you.
Thanks, Skipper.
You've really done a fine job. Put her there, pal.
One thing was for sure, Gilligan's next move kept everyone guessing. Fans loved fueling rumors of secret romances on Gilligan's Island, especially hinting at sparks between Gilligan, Mary Ann, and Ginger, but Denver always shut it down with a smile, insisting Gilligan was too innocent and hilariously clueless for love. To Denver, the show was all about loyalty and laughs. Bob Denver's simple 3-hour tour from Honolulu as one of SS Minnow's 2-person crew may have sailed straight into a storm on TVs across America, yet Denver would never feel stranded with Gilligan. Along with nearly all his co-stars, Denver returned as Gilligan in a string of TV reunion movies. But even Gilligan's biggest blunders couldn't sink the show's charm. Talk about keeping it in the family, Bob Denver's son, Patrick, made a cameo on Gilligan's Island. In a memorable dream sequence, young Patrick played a pint-sized Gilligan, stepping into his dad's floppy hat for the day. It was a sweet, behind-the-scenes moment where TV fantasy met real-life family ties. Despite this, Denver's struggle to balance both worlds were just beginning. Bob Denver and Maggie Ryan's marriage ended in 1966, after 6 years together and welcoming 2 kids. Though their love story faded, they remained connected through parenthood, while Denver's rising fame made balancing family life harder than ever. But it wasn't long before he walked down the aisle again. After his split from Maggie, Denver tied the knot with Gene Weber in 1967. Like his last, the marriage was short-lived, lasting just a year. Denver's stardom was in full swing, but balancing fame and family proved to be tricky. When Gilligan's Island hit syndication, it exploded. Kids dressed up as Gilligan for Halloween, adults quoted Skipper's catchphrases. Bob Denver's face became a global symbol of lighthearted fun, whether he liked it or not. The goofy little buddy had officially conquered the world, and for one fan, that familiar face may have done something even more extraordinary. Bob Denver once got a thank you that stopped him cold. A woman credited Gilligan's Island with saving her daughter's life. The girl, just 9 years old, had slipped into a coma after a car accident. Every afternoon, her mom would turn on reruns and say, "This is your favorite show. You should wake up and watch it." Day after day, the TV played on. Until one afternoon, it happened. Her mom said, "Here's your favorite episode." And like a plot twist from the island, the girl opened her eyes and said, "Okay, Mom." She sat up just like that. When the mother thanked Denver, ever the humble hero, he just smiled and replied, "You're certainly welcome." Despite his fame, Denver rarely watched his performances, admitting it made him feel overly self-critical. Instead, he trusted his instincts, keeping Gilligan's goofiness genuine and lovable. But Denver wasn't just dodging reruns. His career had plenty of range beyond that famous deserted island. Bob Denver didn't just play Gilligan, he crafted him. To nail Gilligan's childlike charm, Denver studied his 3-year-old son, Patrick, channeling that wide-eyed wonder. His goal? To make kids everywhere see themselves in Gilligan. Proof that you could mess up a little and still be loved. But even with the sailor hat off, Denver wasn't done making waves on the small screen. After Gilligan's Island, Denver's next big gig was The Good Guys, playing Rufus Butterworth, a laid-back cabbie alongside Herb Edelman.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. And she's a good guy?
Claudia, you are a good guy.
Then came Dusty's Trail in 1973. Basically, Gilligan's Island in the Wild West, with Bob Denver as, you guessed it, a bumbling sidekick. Not smash hits, but they kept Denver in the spotlight, and just like that, he was on to his next adventure. In 1969, Bob Denver gave marriage another shot with Carol Abrams. Their union was brief, ending in 1970. While the romance fizzled fast, Denver's career stayed steady, and with each chapter, he inched closer to finding the lasting love that would anchor him beyond Hollywood. As his personal life shifted, he kept audiences laughing on screen. The show had to go on. While Denver never publicly named a role he deeply regretted turning down, Hollywood lore loves a good what if. Rumor has it, he passed on auditioning for some meaty dramatic parts in the early 70s to avoid typecasting risks. But instead of escaping Gilligan's shadow, he leaned back into it with Dusty's Trail. But as always, Denver had a knack for landing on his feet. Denver received fewer calls as TV moved into grittier, edgier territory in the 1970s. Audiences still adored him, but networks wanted something darker. Denver stayed true to his lighthearted style, even if it meant stepping out of the spotlight. Little did he know, a dream was about to walk into his life, and stay. Dreama Perry met Bob Denver in 1977, while performing in a production in West Virginia. Both actors, chasing the spotlight, clicked instantly. Denver teased her name, saying he'd finally found his Dreama, and only hoped she would be his leading lady for life. In 1979, Bob Denver and Dreama Perry made things official, and she became his partner both on and off stage. Their marriage lasted until Bob's passing, a rare Hollywood love story that stuck. Together, they raised a son and ran a radio station far from the glitz of TV fame. But even off camera, Bob's island of fans never stopped calling his name. Bob and Dreama's greatest joy came with the birth of their son, Colin. Raising a child with severe autism wasn't easy, but they faced it together with love and patience. For Denver, fatherhood wasn't just a role. It was his proudest adventure, far beyond the spotlight of Hollywood. Dreama Denver revealed that Bob never got rich from Gilligan's Island. The network capped the actors' salaries at $1,500 a week, with no residuals. When money got tight, he made public appearances to keep afloat. Decades later, fans still lined up, proving everyone wanted a little more Gilligan. Craving peace, Bob Denver and his wife moved to Princeton, West Virginia. The small town life suited him perfectly. Quiet, friendly, and far from the cameras. For Denver, it wasn't about escaping fame, but finding a place where he could truly belong. And in that quiet corner, he built a legacy no spotlight could outshine. In the 90s, Bob and Dreama Denver, now settled in Princeton, West Virginia, took to the airwaves. In 1997, they launched Denver in Denver, a cozy radio show filled with laughs, banter, and their favorite old songs. There were no scripts, no gimmicks, just two voices, plenty of charm, and timeless tunes. However, even life off the grid came with a few unexpected bumps. Though he mainly retired, Bob Denver couldn't resist the occasional Gilligan's Island reunion. Seeing old castmates brought joy and bittersweet heartache as their circle grew smaller. Each reunion wasn't just nostalgia, it proved that even the silliest island adventures could leave a mark that never washed away. In the late 1990s, Denver had a few minor run-ins with the law over small amounts of substances. Tabloids tried to stir up a scandal, but fans mostly shrugged. After all, even Gilligan got into mischief. What's a little harmless trouble for the world's most lovable first mate? Behind the scenes, Denver's heart was busy helping others, proving his kindness was no act. Bob Denver wasn't a public partier, but drank more than he should have. His wife later admitted maybe it was alcoholism. A shy man thrust into the spotlight, Denver struggled with the weight of fame. I left so many times, and he kept coming for me, she recalled. I was crazy about him. But even through the fog, love kept showing up at his door. In the early days, their love was a tug of war. You test each other's limits, Dreama said. But after one final fight, Denver had a choice. Keep drinking or save his marriage. He chose the latter. If drinking was an escape, she said, there was nothing left to escape from anymore. His next move would decide everything, and he chose differently this time. Once Bob Denver gave up drinking, everything shifted. He spent years searching for something to hold on to, and he found it when he became a father. With Colin's arrival, the family became more than just a priority. It became his anchor. The man who once played lost at sea had finally found solid ground. And with that newfound purpose, he also set his sights on helping others find their way. Throughout his later years, Bob Denver quietly gave back, supporting children's hospitals, veterans groups, and education initiatives. He never chased headlines or applause, he just wanted to help. Long after the cameras stopped rolling, Denver's kindness proved he wasn't just a TV hero, he was the real thing. Late in life, Denver met a fan who had survived a tough childhood and credited Gilligan's Island with bringing laughter through dark times. This encounter moved Denver deeply. He realized his goofy antics hadn't just been entertainment, they had meant something real. Denver often reprised his role as Gilligan on shows like Alf.
Let's reenact the time when the headhunter came to the island. Now I'll be the headhunter, and Gilligan could be Gilligan.
And Baywatch, delighting fans with each return. Fittingly, his final acting gig in 1997 saw him don the iconic hat one last time. Humble, goofy, and full of heart, Bob Denver's farewell wasn't flashy. It was pure Gilligan, exactly how his fans loved him. Bob Denver loved to make people laugh, which is probably why after Gilligan's Island, he refused to let anyone in on his heartbreaking secret. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Denver faced serious health issues. He kept his struggles private, focusing on spending time with loved ones. His sense of humor stayed strong until the end, even as his body weakened. And when the final curtain fell, all at once, the world wasn't ready to say goodbye. In early 2005, Bob Denver underwent quadruple heart bypass surgery, a major operation that came just as his health was already declining. Though the procedure was serious, Denver faced it with quiet strength and trademark humor. Even in his most challenging moments, he kept the spirit of the little buddy alive. Bob Denver made his final public appearance at the TV Land Awards in March 2004. Later that year, he and Dreama noticed his voice was growing coarse, assuming it was just laryngitis, but by March 2005, Denver had quietly dropped 20 pounds, early signs of a health battle no one saw coming. What Denver had thought was laryngitis turned out to be throat cancer. He succumbed to complications from surgery in September 2005, leaving behind a legacy as timeless as his smile. True to his nature, Bob Denver's last journey wasn't about fame or farewell tours. It was quiet, surrounded by love. Ultimately, he lived the life he always dreamed of. Simple, joyful, and with real connections beyond the camera.
Now, we'll be back real soon. It's only a 3-hour tour.
It's never a 3-hour tour.
Come on!
If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.